Hello, I'm Sean Waterman and you're watching FedScoop TV. We're here today at the Adobe Digital Government Assembly and I'm joined by Avi Bender, who's the CTO of the Census Bureau within the Department of Commerce.
That's correct.
So Avi, you've led a lot of modernisation projects in the past. What's the key to success?
Well, in a few sound bites, I think the key thing here is to really, for the CIO and for the CTO, to be involved initially in the whole strategy of the agency. You cannot be in the mode of reacting to requirements if you've had absolutely no input in making substantive input to these strategies. So that's really a key thing. And then in terms of the continued alignment, you've got to have a good IT governance process in place. You've got to have an enterprise transition plan that takes you from the as-is to the to-be and what you need to do kind of along the way. It's not simple. You've got to have the right people in place. You've got to have the architecture, an infrastructure roadmap, and you basically have to continue dialogue between IT and the business along a meaningful way of modernizing the organization.
And what approach have you found to be successful in reducing IT complexity? We know that some of these systems are terribly complex. What's the best way of tackling that?
Right. That approach doesn't happen overnight. It's transformation. It's an ongoing process. I've had a self-imposed guideline for myself, and that's been to simplify through standards and then to innovate through shared services. Easier said than done. But you need to understand your as-is environment. Again, you need to understand where you're going and to have a transition plan and the governance process in place. Once you know what it is that you have, you can begin to put in place a plan to move forward. And I think that's really key. The rest of that is just very difficult work to actually make that happen.
So the Census Bureau was recently recognized by City SDK. What's that all about?
So the City SDK simply takes an existing application programming interface that we have that today releases about 120 high-value data sets to the public. But it's not enough to release data. You really need to make this information, for developers especially, discoverable, searchable, consumable, useful, so that they can actually derive insights about requirements both today and in the future. So the City SDK was a mechanism by which we engage with academia, with industry, with entrepreneurs in order to create a platform. And by a platform, I mean an ecosystem that creates an engagement and collaboration strategy specifically focusing on cities and communities to solve key problems. And what's interesting about the City SDK is that it engages industry that has a for-profit motive and the public sector that has a public service motive, and has created a very interesting dynamic to have a conversation with the city as the centerpiece. It was launched about a year ago. It's been very successful in creating opportunities to develop apps. It's going to be a key mainstay of the Bureau in terms of continuing our dialogue with industry. And we do view that as an instrument for driving both economic growth, entrepreneurship, and innovation, both for the Department of Commerce and for the U.S. Census Bureau.
Thanks very much.
Thank you.